Picture this. You're the CEO of a booming global brand. You land in Tokyo, offer your host a beautifully wrapped Rolex, only to have it politely declined. Not because it's tacky, but because it could land you both in legal trouble. 3 days later in Rio, you're met with offense because you didn't bring a gift. What gives? Welcome to the wild world of international business ethics, where what's right in one country can be dead wrong in another. In this moral maze shaped by culture, law, and the occasional absurdity, global companies must keep their ethical compasses steady, even when the ground shifts beneath them. Buckle up. Why every region has a different moral GPS. Let's start with the basics. Humans don't agree on everything. If we did, pineapple wouldn't be on pizza, and nobody would need to debate whether shorts are acceptable workplace attire. Ethically, this divergence shows up in how different cultures define right and wrong. Some believe there are universal rules: don't steal, don't lie, treat employees like humans. Others say ethics are a local affair. When in Rome, do as the Romans, even if the Romans think bribes are just expedited facilitation fees. Take gift giving. In parts of East Asia, refusing a small token from a business partner is like refusing their friendship. In the US or UK, that same gift could be flagged in a compliance audit faster than you can say Sarbanes-Oxley. And then there's the law. Regulatory frameworks vary like spices in a global kitchen. Europe, never one to take ethical lightweights lightly, introduced the Corporate Sustainability Due Diligence Directive in 2024, which will force companies with significant EU business to deeply audit their human rights and environmental impact by 2027. Meanwhile, the US is flexing its own ethical muscle with the Uyghur Forced Labor Prevention Act, which bans imports tied to forced labor in China's Xinjiang region. What this means in practice: if your global supply chain looks even remotely shady, prepare for headlines, penalties, and very awkward investor calls. Then there's the third party in this triangle of tension: stakeholders, consumers, investors, watchdog groups, and that one guy on Twitter who spots inconsistencies faster than your PR team can respond. Everyone has expectations, and not all of them are aligned. In Europe, consumers want sustainable, ethically sourced products. In other regions, investors still scream for profit over principles. The result? Companies must walk the ethical high wire without a net, glocalization without getting whiplash. If you think managing this sounds like herding flamingos during a windstorm, you're not wrong. But companies have developed some pretty slick strategies to make it work. First, they create global ethical codes that apply across all operations. Core principles like no bribery, no child labor, and don't be evil. Though Google may have quietly retired that last one, these foundational standards often follow frameworks from heavyweight organizations like the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, International Organization for Standardization, and the United Nations Global Compact. But here's the catch. Having a global standard is like owning a treadmill. It's only useful if you use it. That's where local adaptation comes in. Businesses build layered systems, from regional compliance officers to full-blown ethics committees. And not the kind that meet twice a year and forget what they discussed. We're talking ethics watchdogs who are trained to sniff out gray zones in real time. Big names like Unilever have corporate responsibility boards. Banks like Rabobank and Algemeen Bank Netherlands have dedicated ethics councils that tackle dilemmas such as animal welfare in one country and human rights in another. These aren't symbolic, they're operational. They debate, they investigate, and yes, sometimes they say no to profitable deals that cross the ethical line. To make this work, Leaders need cultural intelligence. That's not just knowing how to say hello in the local language. It's about understanding how decisions are made, what matters to the local workforce, and how to interpret silent cues. A leader with high cultural intelligence quotient is basically the James Bond of ethical navigation. And because all roads lead to suppliers, companies now embrace rigorous third-party audits. The Ethical Trading Initiative, for instance, has helped ensure labor standards for millions of workers across global supply chains. They don't just take companies' word for it. They dig in, verify, and demand evidence. Emerging technologies like AI throw another ethical wrench into the works. Different regions have different AI ethics laws. The EU has the AI Act, the US has a fragmented patchwork, and China emphasizes stability over transparency. Companies must align their tech governance with each market's rules, or face both legal action and public fury. Ethical glory and glorious faceplants. Let's dive into the real-world soap opera of ethical wins and catastrophic fails. First, a round of applause for Danone. The French food giant decided it wasn't enough to be kind of ethical. They went full B Corp, not in one country, but across 55 of them. That's 90,000 employees restructured around sustainability, social equity, and governance. They embraced regenerative farming and methane cuts, and even when investors complained about profits, Danone stuck to its ethical guns. If companies had yearbooks, Danone would win, most likely to stay true to their values. Now, for the not-so-fun stories. Luxury brands Dior, Armani, Valentino have been caught in scandals involving shady subcontractors. In Italy, factories were discovered outsourcing to firms that exploited undocumented labor and violated nearly every human right you can name. The brands claimed they didn't know. But here's the thing. Ignorance is not a defense when your handbag costs more than rent. Electric vehicle makers have also come under fire. In a brutal 2024 report, Amnesty International accused companies like BYD, Hyundai, and even the usually squeaky clean Mercedes of falling short in their due diligence on cobalt sourcing. Kids working in mines for your smartphone battery? That's not a good look. Even big banks have had to choose between ethics and economics. During the height of Russia's conflict with Ukraine, Western banks faced intense pressure to pull out. But some stayed, citing the safety of their employees and clients. It was a classic case of moral gray area. Do you stay and protect your local team, or leave and make a stand? Either way, someone criticizes you. How to actually do this right, without losing sleep or your job. So, what's the playbook for surviving this moral roller coaster? First, define your ethical, true north, a set of values you will not compromise on, no matter what. That includes banning forced labor, protecting the planet, and treating people with dignity. If your business model doesn't support that, it's time for a new business model. Next, don't wait for a regulator to come knocking. Map out the rules in every region where you operate. The European Union Corporate Sustainability Due Diligence Directive will be mandatory by 2027. The US is already enforcing forced labor bans. Don't let compliance sneak up on you like that one unpaid parking ticket from 2011. Then, customize your approach. Global values must flex around local customs, but only where that flexibility doesn't compromise integrity. Letting employees celebrate local traditions? Great. Turning a blind eye to bribery because that's just how it's done here? Not so great. Get governance right. Ethics committees should have real authority and real teeth. And if your leadership doesn't understand cultural nuance, get them trained or replaced. Cultural blunders don't just offend, they damage reputations. Transparency is your friend. Whether you're talking about sustainability, sourcing, or human rights, be honest. Consumers forgive mistakes. They do not forgive lies. Avoid greenwashing, pretending to be sustainable, or green hushing. Stand for something and shout it from the rooftops. Why it's worth it, even if it's hard. Yes, it's complicated. Yes, it's expensive, but it's also absolutely essential. Ethical business isn't just the right thing, it's smart strategy. Regulations are tightening, consumers are watching, investors are screening, and your employees, especially Gen Z, want to work for companies that care. Being ethical is the ultimate risk mitigation strategy. You'll avoid lawsuits, public backlash, and yes, those dreaded internal crises that kill careers faster than a spreadsheet error. Besides, in a world full of scandals, the honest ones stand out. And that's a wrap on today's video. If you learned something new today, then go ahead and smash that. Like and don't forget to subscribe. Let us know in the comments. Have you ever faced a cultural or ethical oops moment in business? We want to hear your stories. Bonus points for drama and awkward gifts. Until next time, stay ethical, stay global, and remember, cookies are always a safe gift.